we will be looking at BSB60120, the Advanced Diploma of Business. My name is Tim Stalker. I'm one of the course advisors here at Let Training. Joining me today, I have one of our trainers, Ray McCall. Ray, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Tim, for the opportunity.
Ray, just before we get started, for those who are watching the video who might not have had any previous dealings with you, could you give us a bit of a background? What sort of industries were you in before you became one of our trainers here?
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a cross spectrum over a 30-odd year career from a business perspective, both in for-profit and not-for-profit organisations, ranging, as you say, from a spectrum of industries, predominantly hospitality, encompassing hotels and casinos. But apart from that, also facility services, educational management, during which phase I was involved in joint venture project initiation offshore, and more recently in the community services sector.
Fantastic. So just before we get started on the orientation, a couple of quick points. For anyone in chat, if you do have questions, feel free to raise them at any stage during the orientation. We'll be happy to answer them. It might just take us a moment if we're midway through a point, but we will get to it eventually. If it's a question that does require a little bit more of an in-depth answer, we will have one of the course advisors who are monitoring this orientation to grab your contact details, and we'll get in touch with you after the orientation, either by phone or by email, and provide you with a bit more of a detailed explanation. Finally, we will be pausing the orientation at a couple of stages, so that way if you do have any questions and you'd like to ask them, at a particular point, we will be pausing it at a couple of moments to give you the option to do that. But as I said, today we are looking at the Advanced Diploma of Business. This is a level 6 qualification under the Australian Qualifications Framework. It is also the highest level of business courses that Let Training is offering. Now, in order to enroll in this particular course, there are some entry requirements. They are either previous completion of a diploma or higher level course in the BSB training package, which has to be the current or an equivalent superseded version, or 2 years full-time work experience in an operational or leadership role. Now, this work experience would need to be confirmed through either a signed job description or a letter from your employer. And of course, if you have previously completed a diploma level course, we would need to see the transcripts of your prior study. We will move on now to our next section, which is on career outcomes. Now, we have 4 different career outcomes here, but Ray, these are by no means all of the career outcomes. What are some other potential career outcomes for people who are looking to complete the Advanced Diploma of Business?
Yeah, look, certainly areas like business owner, operator, CEO of an operation, but also those areas which, like human resource management, so someone like a director of human resources who is currently, from an organisational point of view, adopting a much more strategic business operational role. So therefore, this sort of qualification certainly does fit those corporate or support services roles as well as the front of house revenue generating areas.
Fantastic. Now, this particular course can also be combined with our other courses, particularly our other advanced diploma courses, of which we offer 2, HR and leadership and management. Ray, would you say either of those would be good options to combine with the Advanced Diploma of Business? I do also see we have a question in chat. We'll just get to that in one moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So complementing from a leadership and management point of view is certainly a valid co-qualification.
Fantastic. Now, the question is on hours of study per unit, but as we're now coming up to discussion of our units, we'll answer that question for you right now, because here is the course outline. This is, as we said, a nationally recognised qualification. You will have 12 months to complete the course. And as we see here, this has now been divided up into 10 individual skills or units. Now, the question regarding amount of hours of study per unit, we recommend for an advanced diploma course, you're looking at around 65 to 70 hours of study per unit. That will work out over a 12-month enrolment term to around 15 hours of study per week. Now, Ray, having a look at these specific skills or units here, one of the questions I get asked a lot about is concerning those professional skills. And people who are in high-level business roles, they look at things like ensure a safe workplace, for example, the WHS component there, and they say, well, I have people doing WHS. I have, a WHS team. I have WHS officers. Do I, in my position, really need to know the same sorts of skills as they do? What would you say to that?
Look, absolutely. It would be deluding yourself to believe that you have no responsibility. Under WHS legislation, there are duties, and the higher you go within a hierarchy, the more potent those responsibilities and accountabilities actually are, right through to, and you may be familiar with more recent changes, incorporating the likes of occupational manslaughter in the legislation. So whilst, yes, it is your responsibility to have a team implementing the work health and safety management system, the buck stops essentially with you at the higher levels of the organisation. And the same goes for the raft of other professional skills there, that this course is very much strategically focused. And this day and age, not only is work health and safety your only risk, certainly financial risk in the current global and domestic economic climate, and with the advent of social media, brand reputation and so forth, is critical for you to manage at a preemptive level. And with that, given that there is a focus on ongoing continuous improvement, organisational change to maintain and stay one step ahead from a competitive advantage point of view, the professional skills that are listed there are critical.
And actually, speaking of organisational change and innovation, that's another question I get asked. Now, people look at those two units there, manage continuous improvement and manage organisational change. And sometimes I get asked, well, aren't they the same thing? If an organisation is going to change, it needs to improve, and vice versa, right? Are they two different skills? Are they two completely different skills? Or are we looking at a similar skill that might be sort of rebranded?
Two completely different areas, and in actual fact, whilst people may have wonderful aspirations from a continuous improvement point of view, can demonstrate great innovative and creative thinking skills and manage the innovation side, a lot of what tends to fall apart for organisations is being able to manage change. You only have to look at recent examples in the media, for example, where the toxicity of workplaces and the exit of staff comes down to radical change that hasn't been appropriately managed. So yes, they are essentially two different skills, and being able to effectively lead and manage organisational change is one of those that draws on all of your experience, particularly from a people point of view, as well as the technical side of things.
Great. Thanks for clearing that up a bit. Now, these units can be completed in any order. It's an entirely self-guided course. Ray, you've dealt with a lot of people who do the advanced diploma courses. Where would you normally recommend someone start the course? What would you say is the best unit for people to start in?
Look, I would recommend one of two, and it depends on the individual's preference or / apprehension. I always think finance is a very good one as a sounding or a foundational for starting the program, because at the end of the day, that at this strategic level, you really do need to understand the finances of a business. But as I say, there are some people who tend to be apprehensive of numbers or fear the complexity associated with finances. In that case, I would then recommend as an alternative to start with develop and implement business plans, because again, that's really positioning the strategic focus of the program.
Fantastic. Now, all of these 10 units must be completed in order to obtain the advanced diploma. However, if after your 12-month enrolment term, you decide, and if you have not completed all 10 units and you decide not to ask for a extension, you would receive a statement of attainment for any units you have completed. So even if you've only completed one unit, you will still receive a statement of attainment. You will not walk away with nothing. We'll just pause here for one moment just to see if there are any questions in the chat before we move on to our next section. We'll just take another quick moment here before we move on. And there doesn't appear to be any questions, so we'll move on to our next section. And this next section concerns the learning and facilitation model. Now, our learning platform is 100% online. You can log into the learning portal anywhere and anytime, so long as you have a computer with reliable internet access. Now, the course is self-paced, as we previously mentioned. You would be looking at around 15 hours of study over the 12 months in order to complete the course. However, you are able to complete it at any stage within those 12 months. So if you want to put a little bit of extra time in each week and finish the course a little quicker, you're more than welcome to. One of the resources that we provide, as well as your learning resources, is access to webinars. We have regularly scheduled webinars. They are an interactive component to your online study. They supplement the resource material that we provide. Now, Ray, as someone who has had a lot of dealings with our webinars, especially for the advanced diploma courses, what are some of the webinars you've recently been completing as part of the business advanced diploma?
Absolutely, Tim. Heavily involved in this regard and facilitating two separate streams of webinar types. The one is related to assessment. We talk in a moment about assessment activities, but on an individual unit-by-unit basis, I have prepared a suite of webinars that basically walk the learner through the assessment task requirements and consolidate all the materials to be able to assist in completion of the program. So there's the assessment related. The separate and other suite is relating to topics, and these topics tend to apply across a range of units rather than being unit specific. So for example, I've recently facilitated webinars around distinguishing between different types of plans that you would deal with as a manager at this level, so the likes of strategic, business, operational and action plans, and then follow up for the webinars drilling down on how to actually develop the likes of action plans and communication plans. I've unpacked the requirements for setting up a work health and safety management system in an organisation. More recently, and it links in with the finance side of stuff, given the topical focus on award interpretation and wage underpayment under the Fair Work system, I've facilitated a series of two webinars around award interpretation from a payroll management perspective. Apart from that, others that are skill related, including being able to undertake and record an external environment analysis, what we refer to as a PEST or a PESTLE analysis, consideration of the political, economic, social and technological factors impacting from the outside in on the business. So quite broad ranging right through to how to write a professional formalised business report.
Fantastic. I do see you have a question in chat here. Let me just have a look here. What software applications do I need to complete this course? So in order to complete this course, you would need access to the Microsoft Office suite. You would need access to a Adobe or another way to view PDF files. You would also need a program to zip and unzip files. WinZip is normally the used one there. Ray, are there any? Oh, and you would also need access to either Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Almost forgot about that. Was there any other software, Ray, that I've missed there?
No, it was only those last two, video conferencing, that I was going to flag. Yeah.
Yep, I remembered it at the last minute. So we'll just going back to the webinars. The webinars, students will receive notice of upcoming webinars that apply to their course. You are able to follow along with the trainer live, Or if you can't make the live webinar, that's fine. We'll always give you a link so you can view the webinar later on. Also, as part of our learning facilitation model, we have here some information about your tutors or trainers. Now, they're there to support you through your studies with us. You can contact your trainer or tutor to assist you with questions regarding the resources, the learning materials, or your assessment tasks. Now, trainers are available from 9 to 5:30, Monday to Friday, Sydney time. And there are several methods by which students can contact their tutors or their trainers. If it is a very quick question regarding your resources, you can try and call them during office hours. If the trainer is available, we will put you through to them, or alternatively, we can put you through to another trainer that is training the Advanced Diploma of Business course. Now, that does, of course, depend on trainer availability, so a much safer option is to email your questions to your trainer. It will respond within 1 to 2 business days. And don't be afraid to write multiple questions in one email instead of sending multiple emails with one question. Your trainer will go through it and will provide you with the answers, as I said, within 1 to 2 business days. Now, for a longer support session, for example, for things like in-depth clarification of your resources or maybe discussion about an assessment attempt, you can book in 30-minute support sessions, and they are done over Zoom, over Microsoft Teams, or even over the phone. We do recommend booking in a couple of days in advance because trainers' schedules do tend to fill up relatively quickly. But trainers can get through a lot of information in that 30 minutes. The one thing we do advise, make sure you have your resources available, make sure you're in front of a computer so that way you can access your online learning platform, and make sure you have your questions either submitted to your trainer before the support session, or have them ready to go as soon as the support session begins. Trainers can get through a lot of information in their 30 minutes if you can do that little bit of preparation. Would you agree, Ray?
Absolutely. Being very targeted. The other thing that I would say in terms of engaging in the session, find a location where you are totally undistracted so that there are no people distractions, noise distractions, you're not driving, and that all of your equipment works, and that, as you say, that you have a very clear overview of what you want to achieve in terms of targeted questions.
Now, Ray's microphone cut out there for just a moment, but I believe what he was saying was to make sure that when you do have your support session, that you are in an area with as few distractions as possible. So without other people or without other distractions in the room with you. So that way you can really focus in on the advice and instruction that the trainer is giving you. Is that correct, Ray?
That's correct, absolutely. So that it's undistracted.
Fantastic. And one other thing very quickly, the support services are free. So there's no additional costs for trainer support or webinar access. It is all included as part of our standard course fees. And we'll move on now to our next section, which is on the assessment tasks. Now, as we see here, there are 2 assessment tasks for each of the units that are part of this particular course. The first is a series of short answer questions. Now, most of these questions do just require a quick summary. It's about explaining, detailing, lists, things like that. We aren't asking for essay length answers as part of any of the questions, so don't worry about that. Those short answer questions are designed so that trainers know that you've read and understand your resource material. And after that, you then move on to your practical projects. Now, your practical assessments require no classroom, no work site, no job placements. The majority of them will be completed through simulated workplace events and case studies involving interactive tasks with either your trainer or with people you know. Now, Ray, some of the tasks that students might be asked to complete some of these assessments, what would some of the tasks be?
Absolutely. From an interactive point of view, in terms of role playing, and if I pick on the financial unit in front, the manage organizational finances, the learner is required to facilitate a meeting with the senior manager, the CEO, to report on financial variances from a profit and loss statement. So being able to account for the financial performance of a business. Other activities include facilitate consultation meetings with a range of stakeholders, internal and external. It may be involving delivering a presentation, for example, whole of organisation type presentation, or conducting a training session on perhaps implementing a new improvement within the organisation, but very practically based, demonstrating capability.
Okay, fantastic. Now, the assessment tasks are all marked on a competent and not yet competent scale. If you aren't considered competent on your first attempt, it's not the end of the world. You get 3 assessment attempts to begin with. And after those 3 attempts, if it's still not considered 100%, all we do is put a temporary hold on the assessment in question, and we book you in for one of those 30-minute support sessions with your trainer. After that, we normally find most students will figure out exactly where they've been coming unstuck, and then we give them more attempts to finish off their assessment after that. There are no fees for extra assessment attempts either. One other question we get asked, especially at the advanced diploma level, is if students can, instead of using the case studies or simulated business events we provide, to use their own work history in place of those. Now, unfortunately, the answer for that is no. And the reason for that is we, as a training provider, need to mark all of our students on exactly the same criteria and exactly the same marking system. Now, in order to do that, we need to make sure that they're all working from exactly the same examples. So that's why we provide these case studies. That way, everyone is fairly marked against one another. We're just going to hold for another moment here, and we'll just see if there are any questions before we move on to our next section. There doesn't appear to be any questions coming through at this time. Don't forget, if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. We will answer them as soon as we're able to. We'll move on now to our next section, and that is on other assessment pathways. Now, as well as completing the assessments we've previously mentioned, you are able to complete assessments through credit transfers or RPL or gap training. Now, we'll start with credit transfers. Ray, when we're talking credit transfers, we're referring to a previous study completed as part of a VET course, correct?
That's correct. It's recognising units within the vocational education and training system for which the learner has a statement of attainment or transcript or record of results which clearly indicates the competency achievement. And as you indicated with the entry requirements into the qualification, it could be an earlier version, but that earlier version needs to be a superseded equivalent version to the one that's currently published and the one that would appear as an outcome in your LET training program. The other thing I qualify here is often people use qualifications that have been achieved some time ago, 2011, 2012. In that case, assuming that it is a superseded and equivalent qualification, there would also need to be demonstration of current competency in terms of that particular outcome. But again, reinforcing, as you say quite rightly, it's apples for apples, qualifications achieved within the VET sector.
Fantastic. Now, we can complete a credit transfer assessment prior to enrolment. All you need to do is email us your transcripts. They can be from the institute you previously studied at or from USI directly. We can have a look at that and let you know within 1 to 2 business days if there are any potential areas of credit transfers. At enrolment, all we would ask is a certified copy of those particular transcripts. There are no additional fees for a credit transfer assessment either. This is in comparison to recognition of prior learning or RPL. Now, RPL, we're talking about skills developed mostly in the workplace, correct, Ray?
That's correct. Where prior experience has enabled you to develop those skills, potentially in conjunction with informal training of some description, but you're able to provide clear evidence that you've gained those necessary competencies. And as I say, and as appears on the screen, workplace evidence is required, and it needs to clearly indicate, obviously appropriately redacted or de-identified from a commercial in confidence point of view, but it needs to clearly indicate your capability and your direct engagement in that evidence, in that process. And it could be written evidence, it could be video, it could be audio. And for example, some types of evidence, if we pick on the unit manage organizational finances. For example, it would show full cycle your involvement in developing a budget for an organization or a major component of an organization, and by that involving all evidence to show the consultation of the various draft versions, the finalized approved version as implemented, and supporting explanatory notes to that budget, and then post-budget implementation, variance reports that you've developed as a result of performance, comparing actual performance to the budgeted figures, and evidence of communicating those outcomes and action plans implemented to address discrepancies or deviations from the budget. So that sort of tangible evidence.
Fantastic. Now, an RPL assessment is completed over several stages. The initial consultation can be completed prior to enrolment. That's where a 15-minute phone conversation between you and one of our trainers. At the end of that, they would be able to advise you based on your roles and responsibilities, where there may be some areas of RPL available. After enrolment, your trainer would specifically provide you with a list of evidence, as Ray has pointed out some there, that you would need to obtain and submit for your actual assessment. This assessment would incur a fee. I see we do have a question in chat. I'll get to that in just a moment. As I was saying, the RPL assessment does incur a fee at that stage where you are submitting evidence. That fee does vary depending on the number of units you are seeking RPL for. You would receive information about this as part of the course information pack prior to enrolment. And of course, you can always ask the admin team or your trainer for a list of those fees before you submit the evidence. Let's just have a look at this question here in chat. And the question is, my employer is upskilling me. Can you do invoices? Yes, absolutely. If your employer wants to pay for your course, that's fantastic. All you need to do is get in contact with the course advisors. We would just need to take a couple of pieces of information, company name, address, and person to attention the invoice to, and we can have that sent off to you on the same business day. Equally, if it's more than one person that your employer is looking to enroll, we can always have a talk potentially about offering some sort of offer for those multiple enrollments, but that is decided on a case-by-case basis. So get in touch with the course advisors and they will have a talk to the management, see what we can determine there. Moving back into other assessment pathways though, we also have gap training listed here. Now, Ray, when we're talking gap training, we're talking about people who potentially may have finished some areas of an assessment task, but not all of them, correct? Or some areas of a unit, but not all of them, correct?
That's correct. And if I use an RPL process as an example, and I'll stay with the managed organizational finances, if, for example, an application for RPL has been processed and it's clearly demonstrated that you don't have experience in the development of budgets, for example, you've done everything else, you've reforecast for an operating area, you've developed variance reports, you've been held account, but you've never undertaken budgeting process. In that case, we would organise potential partial recognition of prior learning for the competency or part competency that you've demonstrated, and then we would organise separate learning and assessment materials around the budgeting aspect for you to be able to develop your capability and prove your competency in that regard. So, as the name suggests, we're addressing through learning and assessment the gap or deficit identified.
Fantastic. So we'll just take another very quick moment here before we move on and just see if there are any other questions in chat. And while we're just waiting, if you do have any additional questions regarding other assessment pathways, you can always speak to the course advisors prior to enrolment or your trainer after enrolment. We'll move on now to our next section, and our next section is on student support services. Now, as well as trainer support, we offer other types of support as well. For people yet to enrol, you can always speak to the course advisors. They're here to support you. They're available in the office Monday to Friday, 9 until 5 p.m. You can also email them at enquire@lettraining.com.au. After enrolment, if you have any questions regarding the technical side of things. So if there's an issue with your online learning platform, or if you potentially need to speak about your payment plan to one of our finance team, you can always talk to our admin team. They're available via the phone number listed there. We also have a series of Facebook groups available for peer-to-peer support services. And as we see there, they've been divided up into groups for Certificate 4 students, Diploma students, and Advanced Diploma students as well. Now, if you're ready to enroll in the course, that's fantastic. You can do it via a couple of different methods. The most popular method is to simply enroll via our website. All you would need to do is follow that link there, lettraining.com.au/course/BSB60120, and follow that link to our website. You are looking for this Enroll Now icon directly underneath the nationally recognized training logo. If you click on that Enroll Now button, it will take you through to our enrollment page, and that will take you no more than 5 to 10 minutes to complete the enrollment online. Alternatively, you can always enroll via an enrollment form. All you need to do is complete the enrollment form that's attached to the course information pack that you've received by email when you made your course inquiry, or you can always get in touch with the course advisors and ask for an enrollment form. We're happy to send one out to you. All you need to do is fill that out. You don't even need to fill it out. You don't even need to print it out. You can always complete it on your computer and email it back to us. Either way, once that enrollment's been received, we can process that within 1 to 2 business. We can roll that same business day, my apologies, and get you started on your course straight away. If you need any assistance, as always, don't hesitate to contact us, 02 9633 3929. If you are looking to enroll, you might be interested in using one of our payment plans as well. There are several different options available here, as well as paying for the course upfront in full. You can pay for the course 50% upfront and 50% in 30 or 60 days. Alternatively, you can pay an upfront payment followed by monthly, fortnightly, and weekly installments. Now, we have some examples there, but these examples might not be pertaining to the current payment plan for the Advanced Diploma of Business, but don't worry, the payment plans are very clearly laid out both in the course information email we've sent out. They're also included in the enrollment forms as well as on the enrollment page of our website. So it doesn't matter which way you choose to enroll, you can always enroll via a payment plan. Most of these plans do incur an admin fee. They also will require an upfront payment at enrollment. If you would like to speak to someone about potentially customizing a plan, so maybe you'd like to pay a little bit more upfront, or maybe you would like to pay a little bit more on each of your installments and bring down the number of installments overall, get in touch with us. We'll be happy to see if we can work out a customized plan for you. We're now nearing the end of the orientation. So we're just going to take a further moment here and we'll just see if there are any questions about the course that we can help with. It doesn't appear to be. So with that, we will now finish up the orientation today. This has been the orientation for the Advanced Diploma of Business. I'd like to thank Ray for his time this morning. Thanks a lot, Ray. It's greatly appreciated.
My pleasure, Tim, and I look forward to welcoming new learners to LET Training and supporting in their study progress.
Fantastic. If you do have any questions after viewing this video, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. You can email your questions to enquire@lettraining.com.au. You can call us at 02 9633 3929, or you can email, or you can contact us on Facebook at LetTraining1. This has been the Advanced Diploma of Business course orientation, BSB60120. My name is Tim Stalker. I'm one of the course advisors here at LET Training. And with that, we will finish the orientation. Thank you very much for your attention and have a great day.